Picture this. It's 11 p.m. You're wandering into your kitchen for a late-night fridge raid. You grab a can of soda, maybe some leftover pizza, a cup of yogurt, or some fruit that was flown in from completely across the globe. It's just a completely normal modern ritual, right? But here's the wild part. To your deep ancestors, literally nothing you just grabbed would be recognized as food.
So that begs a pretty massive question. What did ancient humans actually eat? Well, in this explainer, we're going to look at the undeniable proof that scientists have pulled from caves all over the world. And fair warning here, the answer completely flips absolutely everything we thought we knew about our own species.
Okay, let's dive into this. To truly understand our modern cravings, we have to pull ourselves back in time. And we're not just going back a few centuries. We are violently rewinding the clock roughly 3 million years back to our, well, rather gruesome origins.
Here's the first major twist in our evolutionary story. Your earliest ancestors, they were not majestic hunters, taking down massive beasts on the African savanna. Actually, scratch that. We were scavengers. Picture a lion bringing down an antelope. The lion eats the absolute best parts first, the muscle, the liver, the heart. Then, the hyenas swoop in for the rest, and they can easily crunch through the ribs, the skin, and the smaller bones. By the time our ancient human ancestors finally crept up to the carcass, all that was left were the scraps.
But those scraps, they became our signature meal. Our 3-million-year-old menu consisted of the things that even hyena jaws couldn't break. Early humans would grab the thickest leg bones and smash them open using early stone tools called Oldowan flakes. Inside was marrow, just gray, slick, dripping fat. They would literally scoop it out with their bare fingers and eat it raw. They ate the brains, too, because a cracked skull holds almost a pound of solid fat. In a brutal world of scraps, fat was the ultimate jackpot. And if we weren't cracking bones, we were foraging for insects, termites, beetles, and fat white larvae the size of your thumb that crunched like shrimp. This wasn't some extreme survival show challenge for them. This was just Tuesday night dinner. And incredibly, it's exactly why your body today still treats fat like an absolute treasure.
Section 1. How Fire Built Brains, the Wonderwork Cave Discovery. So this brutal scavenging was daily life until a revolution changed human biology forever. Fire. The oldest human fire we've found is in Wonderwork Cave in South Africa, dating back about 1 million years. With fire, we suddenly had cooking. And cooking wasn't just about flavor, you know. It is essentially pre-digestion. If you eat raw meat and raw leaves, your gut has to do hours and hours of grueling chemical work just to break it down. But cooked food is already partly broken apart before it even enters your mouth. Your body spends significantly less energy digesting it, meaning you pull massive amounts of calories out of every single bite. Because of this, scientists believe our ancestors' guts literally shrank, freeing up huge amounts of energy.
And all that freed up energy went to one incredibly demanding place. Your brain makes up only about 2% of your body weight, yet it uses a staggering 20% of your body's calories. I mean, you absolutely cannot run a machine that powerful on raw leaves and a few termites. You need cooked, fat-rich food. Cooking is literally what gave us our modern brains.
Section 2. The Original Sugar Rush, the Exploding Menu. Let's fast forward to about 300,000 years ago. The menu completely exploded to include mammoths, bison, fish, and wild grains. But there was one ultimate caloric prize. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the breakdown of the modern Hadza hunter-gatherer diet in Tanzania. This is a tribe who still eats the way humans did before farming. A massive 15% of their calories come purely from wild honey. To get it, they climb dangerous trees and endure hundreds of bee stings time and time again. Why? Because absolutely nothing else in the wild packs that many calories into a single bite.
That dripping honeycomb was the richest, most magical meal most of your ancestors ever laid eyes on. It gave them instant energy for right now, and extra fuel to store as fat for when the food ran out. And here is the scary part. Your body cannot tell the difference between wild honey in a tree and a glazed donut. Your brain treats every single packaged food, soda, candy, cereal, even bread, as emergency fuel storage. Modern food took that ancient survival signal and just turned it into a multi-billion-dollar business.
Section 3. Darker Cravings, Cannibalism, and Rotten Meat.
But sugar and fat weren't our only cravings. To truly understand our dietary past, we have to look at the darker twists of our history, where saving time with a mammoth carcass eventually evolved into something much, much more grim. In Gough's Cave in England, researchers uncovered human bones from about 14,700 years ago that tell a truly chilling story. The skulls found there had been meticulously cleaned with stone tools. The face and base were carefully removed, and the tops of the skulls were shaped rim by rim into drinking cups. The long human bones found beside them, they had been cracked open the exact same way our earliest ancestors cracked open antelope bones on the savannah just to get to the marrow.
And this brilliantly illustrates a terrifying truth. This wasn't done out of starvation. Look at this caloric yield comparison. A human body provides around 125,000 calories. But a single bison holds 600,000, and a mammoth provides a staggering 3 million calories. And Gough's cave was full of horse and deer remains. There was plenty to eat. Humans weren't efficient food. Eating them was a choice. One human forearm bone was even carved with a zigzag pattern after the meat was stripped. This was a dark ritual, a deliberate act practiced by ancient humans across Europe for hundreds of thousands of years.
And the strangeness definitely doesn't stop there. Your ancestors didn't just eat fresh meat. They actively ate rotting meat. They would stash kills in caves or cold streams for weeks. By the time they returned, the meat was crawling with maggots and reeked of decay. And they ate it anyway. In fact, some researchers think they preferred it. Rotting meat is partly broken down by bacteria, making it easier to chew and digest. The bacteria even produce essential B vitamins. So the next time you enjoy a fancy charcuterie board with cheese, yogurt, beer, or sourdough, just remember, you are essentially eating controlled rot. Your refined taste didn't develop in a French dairy. It developed on a harsh savanna 100,000 years ago with something far, far worse.
Section 4. Ancient Bodies, Modern Kitchens.
So the crucial point is this. Every single craving you have today, for fat, for salt, for sugar, for the absolute richest thing you can get your hands on, is simply an ancient survival tool running perfectly as designed. Let's play a game of time travel survival. If you took a modern human and dropped them into the world 50,000 years ago, they would likely be dead in days. We wouldn't know which plants were safe, we couldn't run down an animal, and we certainly aren't strong enough to smash open thigh bones for marrow. We would starve to death staring at a landscape full of food we couldn't even see. But if you dropped a 50,000-year-old human into your modern kitchen, they would think they had died and walked into a god's pantry. Sweet drinks sealed in metal, fresh milk sitting there for weeks, food that literally nobody had to chase, it would be an absolute miracle to them.
You are running a 3-million-year-old biological program perfectly designed to keep you alive. But the world it was built for has completely vanished. For 3 million years, almost every human who ever lived was hungry, cold, and tired. When you open your fridge tonight, realize that you might be the very first generation that isn't. So, next time you crave that leftover pizza or that donut, ask yourself, is it really you who's hungry, or is it the ghost of a scavenger from 3 million years ago?